Are you ready? Speak. All right.
How are we opening this up?
All right, on the count. All right, so hey everyone, this is Dan from Re-Animator, guys, and this is Movie Dudes podcast. So, how you doing?
What's up,
And
everybody? I'm Chris. I'm also with Movie Dudes, and we're here tonight to talk about some movies.
yeah, movies. Every kind of
So
movie.
what kind of movies are we going to talk about, Dan?
Well, I thought we'd talk about, because I promised it, 80s action movies, because
I have an interesting story today. I was at Son of Monsterpalooza.
So let's start with that first.
It's a horror convention, and Ron Jeremy was there too.
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, I went there, and it was really fun, and it was on Sunday. It wasn't so big of a crowd, but there was a lot of famous 80s horror actors and whatnot. I got a lot of autographs from the Night of the Living Dead cast. They were there. The older, the other members. I haven't gotten George Romero's autograph, but I'd like to. And the Re-Animator. I don't know if you saw that yet.
No, I need to take a look at that.
Oh, it's a great movie. The whole cast. It was like a cast reunion for the Re-Animator.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and Ron Jeremy happened to be in the crowd.
You know, it is because
some random guy.
You know, it was it's because he was in Ghostbusters. There's that one scene, if you look, when they're going to Bus Gozer, you can see like Ron Jeremy going, "Oh my God!" like in the background.
I have no idea about that. Was he was in Ghostbusters?
He was an extra.
Was he really?
No joking. Seriously, look it up.
Hmm.
He didn't get credit for it because he's a adult film actor, so it didn't make much sense. Anything else interesting happened at Monsterpalooza before we move on to the action movie?
No, it was just they had a sample maze hunt.
Really?
The Conjuring Part 2. Yeah, it was pretty fun. But overall, it was a pretty good event. I encourage anyone to check it out. They have a larger show in April next year. I encourage anyone to check it out.
And we will be going.
Well, yeah, you should finally go.
I know. I've just been very busy with work.
I know. It's we got to get a week. Are you coming to my party on the 1st?
Yeah, probably. I'll check it out. I'm definitely gonna try to make some arrangements.
Yeah, we're bringing everyone here. Cards Against Humanity, and then there's a haunt maze down the street. We're going.
I'm gonna definitely ask for time off. All right, so now let's move on to the main show. Let's talk about some crappy 80s movies.
Crappy 80s. I've seen too many crappy 80s movies. So where do you want to start?
Let's do with Commando. That one's like always the best.
Oh, by the way, the actor who played Bennett was there at Monsterpalooza.
No way.
I think Mike went up to him and said, "Let off some steam, Bennett."
Oh God.
I'm sure, because that guy had the best lines. I'm sure he was autographing all kinds of lines from the movie, like, "Hey, John, I'm not going to shoot you in the eyes. I'm going to shoot you in the balls." And then Arnold throws the pipe into him. That was a great movie.
Yeah. So any of those
you know.
Yeah. So any of those you don't know, 80s movies are notorious for they being over the top, cheesy as.
But I really liked Commando. I like Commando more than movies that aren't supposed to be cheesy with a high budget.
All right. So.
I would watch Commando 1,000 times than like most of the expected good high production films I've seen in the last like 5 years.
Yeah, I know. So let's give a quick plot summary of Commando, like it needs one. So
it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's really huge.
Yeah,
a lot of red meat, and he's living up in the woods, and then someone's killing all his men. He was in special forces.
As you do.
And then Colonel Kirby comes. He's like, "Hey, John, someone's killing your men." He's like, "Oh shit!" And then all of a sudden, when Colonel Kirby leaves, like in 1 second, all of a sudden someone's shooting up his house.
Pop up like a balloon?
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, someone's shooting up his house. And then Arnold gets all these guns, and like, of course, the guards that Colonel Kirby left at the house were supposed to be like they're supposed to be the best, and they're like killed like instantly. Like, and there's some guy there just sitting there saying, "Hey, you want to know where your daughter is?" And then, it's like and then like Arnold just shoots him in the head. And it's like that dude really thought like he was just gonna sit there and babble and not have Arnold shoot him in the head.
Yeah, this is like Taken before Taken was
right. And there's no like fancy Krav Maga or anything. It's just Arnold, like he just punches you in the face and you die.
And the
yeah, the best thing was the weapons that. So basically, he has like the kills were really good too. It's like, hey Sully, remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied, and just throws him off a hill.
That one is probably one of those classic lines in all of like.
Yes. It was a really. I actually thought this was a really good movie. Yes, yeah, it's 80s, it's cheesy, but it was actually a really good movie.
Yeah, so now that we've talked, the way this one is definitely go see. It's freaking. It's got great cheese.
Yeah, I mean it really actually I was reading that it really pumped up action films.
Yeah. So let's move on to the one you and I were watching a couple weeks ago, Over the Top, which kind of solidified the name for bad.
Yeah, Over the Top, yeah, it was with Sylvester Stallone. It really wasn't his best work, but it was. I think it was a nice movie. It was trying.
It was.
I think it was really an okay movie, and yeah, there's some cheesy and funny stuff too. Like he's a professional arm wrestler, and there's like some opponent that's like drinking gasoline or something.
Yeah, it was like really. It was really.
It was really over
elimination.
Yeah, it was like Robot Wars.
Yeah, it was like really over the top. And then he's trying to. The whole story is that he's trying to be a good father for his estranged son, and then I guess you could call him his father-in-law. He's being a total dick to him, and like, you'll never see your son again. And then he just freaking runs the truck through this like rich ass like guy's gated.
The guy who played the general from Independence Day.
You'll never. He's very squinty.
Yeah, he played the general in Independence Day.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and the guy who played the Central American dictator in Commando, he was like the dad in Clueless.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's not even Hispanic.
Oh, yeah. Well, the fun like white people can be Hispanic too.
Right. I don't give a fuck, but it was just kind of funny that I think the casting was rather funny.
It was just.
I thought Ray Dong Chong was actually a good choice.
All right. Yeah. So finally, I want to move on to one of the better ones that you and I have been talking about forever because
Inside Linda's Ass.
No.
What's the better ones? Debbie Does Dallas.
No. I was talking about the granddaddy of all over the top movies. Big Trouble, Little China.
Yeah, that's a cult hit. That's a cult classic. I wouldn't say that's an over-the-top movie. I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, but it's so 80s, though. It's like 80s kung fu means action movie.
Like a river. 80s kung fu meets an action, like some Asian guy explodes and he blows up like a big old like whoopee cushion.
Dude, remember Mr. Zhao? You have to buy from store. We will do.
Yeah, it's the guy you owe money to.
Oh yeah, that's a fun story. So speaking of it on tangent, we how long was it? How long was it? It was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
in the store and you broke a display piece. And
no, I didn't break a display piece.
You did because he kept telling you not to touch that shit, but like you always just touch everything there. And then he's like, Daniel. And then he's like, and then your dad. It would have been awesome. That guy and your dad combining forces on you.
Oh god,
that would have been horrible, dude. I think you'd have to just shoot yourself at that point.
So yeah,
He's like, Daniel always comes into my store and breaks all my shit. Then your dad's like, yeah, he comes into my store all the time, breaks my shit. Breaks my shit.
No. So the movie. So anybody who
Your
hasn't,
son is disgraceful. Your son is disgraceful. It's like, yep. It's like story of my life.
So those of you that haven't seen freaking Big Trouble in Little China, the spot there is Kurt Russell is a truck driver, much like Stallone was in the last one.
Yeah, he kind of gets dragged into this sort of Chinese magic adventure.
Yeah, the whole thing is just like really over the top, and they're like apparently like what's the name of the actor? David Chu is the name of the guy who plays what's the bad guy's name again? Oh God, I can't remember his name. I feel so bad. It's like Lopan. Yeah, Lopan.
Lopan, who's that actor's still alive, and he's been a great actor for many years.
He does a ton of roles. He does a lot of voice work too.
Yeah, he was in Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, that's right. He wasn't he the turtle, the turtle center?
He's also been at Monsterpalooza a few times signing autographs.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah. So the story goes, he's apparently what was it like 2,000 year or like 3,000-year-old like former king of a Chinese kingdom that got cursed by the.
To be honest, I forgot the plot of this movie. Yeah, all I know is Kurt Russell's kind of this redneck trucker, and he sort of gets dragged into this sort of issue with his friend, who's this Chinese guy, and there's all this magic and flying and exploding whoopee cushion Chinese dudes.
Yeah,
there's this magic in Lopan. There's this old Chinese guy, Lopan. He turns into a young guy, really. And he's more powerful than you think.
But he's like in a spirit form when he's a young man.
Yeah, he's like a warlock, you know.
I just remember the scene where it's him and the other guy, Shen, that are basically battling out with magic, and Lopan's doing this to basically like send his magic, and then he does like a video game thing at one point when they're fighting.
Yeah, I forget, but it was a really good movie. It was memorable. It's a cult hit, you know.
I remember I watched it like the first time I ever watched it was as a little kid, and my mom used to say there's gonna be Big Trouble in Little China. And that shit actually showed up on the air. It was like on like Channel 13. And I'm like, oh, I heard about this. I just watched it. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? It's just like so crazy.
What the fuck am I watching?
Do you have any good 80s movies to talk about? Like any one?
Good, Re-Animator. That just was on my mind.
Yeah, tell me this one.
Re-Animator is a movie, if you are a horror fan of 80s horror, and just horror in general, you have to see this movie. It's not quite a zombie movie. It's not quite. It's a horror movie that's not quite a horror movie. And it has comedy mixed into it, kind of like RoboCop a little bit, with that kind of like Evil Dead, RoboCop. There a lot of mixes in the plot. It's funny. It's really over the top. It's ridiculously gory. There's a scene with a man who removes his head, and he's like trying to eat a chicken.
What?
He's trying to eat this woman out. He's like removes his head. He's like, well, it's basically, here's the plot. It's this guy, Dr. Herbert West, who's like, he's kind of like a wacko 1980s, Dr. Frankenstein. And he's in med school. And his med teachers hate him, but he's obsessed with bringing people back from the dead. So he has this serum that he's just injecting into different cadavers, and they're coming back to life. But it's not like a zombie movie, like they want to eat flesh now. It was kind of like discussing, the movie in a way was discussing, what if you just brought a body back to life? You turned on the brain. It's like you just have this person who's just, you don't really quite have a person. You don't really quite have a dead person. It's kind of a disturbing idea to speculate about. So the movie got into that in the most disturbing way.
Yeah, that sounds pretty messed up.
It's pretty messed up. But it's like almost the antagonist, this Dr. Herbert West, is kind of like he's naive. He's obsessed with bringing people back from the dead, which maybe it's all in good intention. It's like he really wants people not to die, but he's doing it all wrong. He's just bringing these people back, and they're like these violent, monster things now.
Right. So that's pretty fucking awesome, to be fair.
You gotta see it. It's really gory and really you don't want to eat dinner watching that film.
It's definitely on my watch list on Amazon.
There's someone's stomach that comes out and he's like strangling Dr. Herbert West. Like it like wraps around like an octopus in one of the scenes.
Tentacle rape, man.
Three of these movies.
Yeah. So, I've been thinking since we do all this stuff, we should do, since October's coming in, we got to do a month of horror, dude. There's some fucking awesome horror movies that we got.
Did you just say you need to do horrors?
Well, only sometimes.
Yeah, you do. Well, we'll take you to take you to Nevada on our southwestern road trip.
You know what a horror is,
Daddy? And we won't be going to the Grand Canyon. We're not going to be going to the Grand Canyon. You're going to be putting you're going to be damming up some chick's Grand Canyon.
Oh, dude. Dude, that would be freaking hilarious. But we got to do again. We got to do some horror flicks coming up soon. For those of you who end up watching this, we will be doing an October horror thing, which we're going
to be doing horrors in October.
Oh, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy Daniel. Making all kinds of statements.
We also might be even doing a D&D. That's going to be fun. We got to do for this is, I think, since we have the hangout going, we got to do a D&D thing. What's your thoughts on D&D, man?
D&D, I would love to do a D&D game. Dude, how about you come over during the party? We'll talk to Merlin about this more. Get maybe even
definitely. We're gonna meet. So ladies and gentlemen, we will possibly be doing a D&D match. We not just me and Chris, but Merlin, who is a friend of ours, my sister, who is actually a big D&D fan. She plays like every freaking what was it? She plays like every week. And then maybe we'll get Mike or Brian in there.
That sounds great. That's a whole group of characters.
Brian will just like, I didn't get a perception bonus.
A perception bonus?
Or a dexterity bonus. I mean,
a dexterity bonus?
Dexterity
bonus. A dexterity bonus.
I'm very good with my hands.
Let's keep talking about 80s films.
So I'm thinking of another great. Oh, you know what's another great one? This is another great one that everyone knows, and they shouldn't have remade it. Actually, two of them. So let's go with the two that were made in the 80s. Let's go with RoboCop and Total Recall. Let's start with Total.
RoboCop is an incredibly good movie. That's a blockbuster, and so is Total Recall's 1990. We've left the 80s.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just saying we'll talk about 90s later, but RoboCop definitely should have never been remade.
RoboCop is not a cheesy. It's one of the best movies in my opinion ever made.
It is a bit over the top, like with some of like the Paul Verhoeven like crazy ads thrown in there.
Oh, that's not over the top. That's creative. That's political satire.
In that area, it's a little cheesy, but except for that,
I don't think it's cheesy. I wouldn't establish. I wouldn't say any of that's cheesy.
All right,
I'd say it was quite unique for the time. The movie was quite prophetic.
Yes.
And quite unique. He's talking about Detroit, going through societal decay. That's quite prophetic. There was a whole bunch of political satire in this movie, and there's a lot of comedy, and there's a lot of drama in this movie, and the acting and overall the practical effects used in this film.
Yeah, that was really.
I mean, the outfit that Peter Weller had on.
Yeah.
And the kind of work he did was amazing. I mean, you do not put that kind of effort in any film. I mean,
yeah. And what else was it? Wasn't it freaking Red from it's a dad
yeah,
from that
he played a great villain. He played Clarence Biger, the big killer.
Dude, there's some great. The movie's got some great quotable lines, like I do that for $1.
Well, that's just American consumer. That's just the movie poking fun at American consumerism. And like Nukem, all the commercials.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like no more foreign aid, mister.
What was the other fun one? It was, I just love intelligent women. You go tell them about that line. That was
loving. Oh yeah, that was a really great line, and that's original. You don't see you didn't. That was not taken from anywhere. That was great. He was just like feeling. He had these two prostitutes. The creator of the creator of RoboCop, who was this big yuppie, executive. Has these two hookers over at his house, and they're doing cocaine, and they're clearly just there because he has a lot of money. And they're all partying up, and they're all high as shit, and he's just like, oh, he like takes us, or he like sniffs some cocaine off the table, and he's like, I just love. And one of the girls says, oh, sometimes I just before about I think about something really fast or really well, and he's like, oh yeah, I love intelligent women.
He's like trying to get cocaine off their tits.
Yeah, he's just buttering them up to have wild sex later or something.
And when Clarence, what's his face, walks in like, bitches leave.
Yeah, bitches leave. Something like SJWs. We should just play that over and over again for SJWs. The whole scene where Red Foreman enters the house and he's just like, bitches leave.
I heard some theory that Red is actually, I think, like, I forget who it was. He was supposed to be one of the characters. There's a theory that he's actually one of the guys from Happy Days, and it's him post war, like Korean War. And because they're both set in like Wisconsin, so it kind of fits.
Bitches leave.
Bitches leave.
Then he puts like a grenade and he just blows his house up.
Well, the best part is what's his face, like Ronnie Cox, who plays like the other exec. His death scene is just hilarious as fuck.
No, the best death scene was when one of the bad guys, O'Neill. He fucking. He's driving this truck. He's driving this truck, and he's hoping to run. He's aiming right for RoboCop in this old abandoned industrial plant. And RoboCop just gets out of the way, and he just goes forward right into a whole tank full of toxic waste. And he comes out of the whole thing. Yeah, that was one of the best movie scenes.
And Frank Clarence hits him.
He's just walking around fucked up, and then Clarence Biger. He's just driving, and he's like, oh shit, and he's like, he just blows up, and you see him like explode into goo and toxic waste. That was just funny. Yeah, you can't get any better than that. And the other guy that's like, I got him, Clarence. Then like they shoot him with the big cannon gun. The BFG. The BFG, right?
Yeah.
He just blows up.
Yeah, and there was the Ed 209 who literally could not walk down the stairs.
Well, that was that robot's weakness.
And it apparently was stupid as fuck when people would say, "I put the gun down. You have 10 seconds to comply."
You have 20 seconds to comply.
I think again that the one exec's death, when he gets they fire his ass. And then he dies because the editing was so bad. His arms look like really freaking long as fuck. It's one of those it was bad editing. You could tell. Which was that's for kind of the cheese factor. And some of the editing was just really not so good. But then it was the 80s when they weren't super great.
Which ending?
When at the very end when he's in the boardroom and they're like, "Hey, you're fired!" Like, thank you, sir. And he shoots him, and like when he falls out the window, his arms are like really freaking like long.
Well, that was cool. It was just it was like a classic American ending where the cowboy gets the bad guy in the shoot off.
But
it's like nice shooting, son, and then you see RoboCop twirling the gun. It's a classic cowboy. It's saying like the lone ranger comes into town and saves the day, but it's taking place with a machine in the future in Detroit. It's just sort of the same hero recycled and into a different context. That was cool. That was neat.
And
I mean, yeah, it was completely, it was completely taken, obviously from prior heroic, movies with a hero. I mean, that was that was very iconic.
Yeah, that one was actually awesome. I actually was trying to find that scene where he basically, he falls out the freaking window. Because I was just like, oh, there it is. I found it, dude. I found it. I'm gonna put it up on screen. I'm gonna screen share. We're gonna show that scene. All right, here we go. Screen share. This is some classic 80s. That was pretty freaking awesome.
So I guess now the new word out on the SJW dope pushing street is if you criticize Hillary's health, you're sexist.
Yeah, I heard about that. So we're gonna switch gears right now from
who could ever say that and seriously, clearly they're lying. Clear. But I mean, saying stuff like that clearly just fuels the Trump.
It's not. They're not lying. They're just misdirecting because, I mean,
they're misdirecting.
I mean, if you said that if you had said FDR,
they're clearly just saying, don't care about her health. Just stop talking about it. I mean, when you say stuff like that, you're just seriously fueling everything.
Well, you're just getting. I watched a video by Sargon of Akkad where he was talking about they're like, oh, you should just leave her alone. When they showed her like having a coughing fit, and then there was this like,
oh yeah, she barfed out a bunch of crap into her water. That's disgusting.
Yeah, phlegm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, but the funny thing is this is not just like she just fell down a little bit at the 9/11 ceremony. She's been having on and off.
I mean, like the one she was like
severe. I mean, when you're being followed around by a paramedic, and at one point he rushed on a stage with her because she was having it appeared to be some kind of a seizure.
Actually found
and he had to talk her through it.
No, she was having some sort of like where she was like losing like focus. I actually found.
I know that is.
I'm gonna show that real quick. I mean, like this one.
Yeah.
Where she basically looks like she looks like she's.
That's one. No, that's one.
Yeah, it looks like she's glitching out.
That's one incident where it's suspected she was kind of seizuring a bit. But there's another incident where she's on a stage in front of a whole crowd at a rally.
I know what you're talking about.
And I know which one you might.
I mean,
yeah, that one looks like it.
Where she's like confused.
I mean, Dr. Drew is kind of right. These do look like signs of some neurological decay.
Yeah, what's the bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly not health. I mean, clearly her health is going to be questioned. I mean, you're falling down. You're having incidents like these. You're having another incident. Her husband is on TV saying she falls frequently.
That's
I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. And then she's like, oh, I just had a flu. I'm like, no, you didn't. No one just has a little pneumonia and just falls down. And well, then she's outside. I guess she can't stand sunlight too much.
Yeah. What is she becoming, a vampire?
Well, she already is. But okay, get this. She's falling down like she needs people to help her upstairs constantly. We're not talking like long stairs. That's showing her hand-eye coordination's a bit off, which is again going back to neurological problems.
Yeah, I heard she might actually have had a blood. They had her blood clot removed a couple years back, and that she might actually. Yeah. This might be because even if you remove blood clot, there's always damage from removing something, and this might just be the side effects she's going to have to live with is the inability to control her breathing and her spasms.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know what's up with her. Something's up. We don't know. That's what a lot of people are just saying. We don't know what's wrong. But to say that we're questioning what's going on with someone who wants to be president and saying if you do it, you're sexist, something's fucked up. Number one, when they say stuff like that, the SJWs, you're right, really have a problem with understanding PR. Like that's just not something you say. I mean, that's so over the top ridiculous. The best thing to do is to actually confront the problem, is to say, okay, let's have the conversation. And then that may leave people opened up more. But for them to straight up say, oh, if you talk about it, you're sexist. I mean, that's just, you're asking to be steamrolled by the opposite side. I mean, you're kind of fucking stupid.
I found this video by Blair White where she basically goes into the whole thing.
Where they fired Dr. Drew.
Yeah, this one right here.
I think he needs to sue. No, I know she went into it, and she also mentioned that Dr. Drew got canned because he said that he suspected she had Parkinson's.
No, I don't think she has Parkinson's. I think it's definitely because
he merely suspected on his show, and he immediately got canned. Because I think he's definitely going to sue.
Well, here's the problem:
termination.
I hate to sound like conspiracy theories, but for the most part, the mainstream media is in like the regressive left and the very far liberal, and even for the like conservative stuff like Fox News.
That's one channel.
Well, what I'm saying is a lot of them are in the the media is in the back pocket of politics, and they're regressives.
Well, I don't get cable. I have not watched cable in years.
I mostly get my news online.
Right, I get my news online. I mean, I don't. The news channels, you're absolutely right, are have a completely fixed narrative. I wouldn't buy a thing there. I mean, it's one giant infomercial for it's one giant propaganda machine for their political party.
Well, the big one.
The thing is, I'll honestly say, because I've had conversations with Republicans, and they admit, Fox News is a propaganda channel for the Republican Party. But I mean, they do make another factual point that the 90% of the media, if you go from ABC to CBS to any local news, all the way to CNN, MSNBC, Newsline?
I think so.
I don't know. It's with Nancy Grace, that crappy channel.
I saw the funny thing, people saying that calling CNN
headline news.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, they're all left leaning. So it's like, yeah, you have Fox News, that's bullshitty, but you have the Democrats control like 90% of the bullshitty media. But that's over years. I mean, that's over years of cornering the market.
Well, here's the big problem is that the SJWs it's funny, they're bitching about being oppressed and that they control the mass media. I thought
they control education.
Yeah.
Most of them are from rich families. How do they ever say that they're being oppressed? Have you seen SJWs? What families they come from?
Yeah, I mean,
their college tuition didn't cost pennies, and not all of them got student loans. A lot of them, their dads were paying for it.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of those who were former SJWs who left him were people who were like more working class and middle class. When I saw the bullshit, like this is bullshit. We've been everything's fine.
Oh, I think if you're a working class woman, you definitely can be in the feminist movement today.
They don't like it.
But I mean, even going back to suffrage, suffragettes. It was mostly high class, wealthy women that have always run the show there. That's just who it is.
And they don't like
because you have money doesn't mean you can't have a discussion. That's not where I'm getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot today. I think you have a lot of spoiled brats today. Certainly, obviously, we're seeing it. We can't deny it.
You ever heard of SWERF, which is like sex worker exclusionary feminism?
Sex worker exclusionary feminism, where like they say, oh, if you're like a porn star, you can't be a voice for feminism.
Or they talk shit about them because I've actually there was a person who I looked up who said like why I'm no longer a feminist, and she said she was a sex worker, and the problem is there was this very like
what's her name so the viewers can go watch her porn vids.
I don't know if she was porn or something. All I knew was that I looked. The fun one was Mercedes Carrera, who basically. My favorite thing was was it Jonathan McIntosh is like you should listen to women, and then when she comments on a tweet, she replies to a tweet, he basically blocks her. I'm like, well, you're obviously not following your own advice.
Yeah, it's not. No. It's definitely not equal. I've already caught them on that. When I had an argument with kind of a left leaning guy, and he said, "Oh, going to the strip club is sexist shit." And I said, "What about a woman's choice to be on that stage at the strip club?" And you telling her that she's stupid for getting on the stage and taking her clothes off, and it's like, I mean, that's the most sexist thing in the world. To tell a woman that she's too stupid to know that she wants to get on a stage and remove her clothes is pretty fucking sexist.
Do you tell me she's like totally? Oh, I gotta find where it was. There was a whole like his video is just. Oh, I found one of his worst. Like some of them are so like. He did a whole thing that like men need to listen to like feminists. I'm like, no, we don't. If they have good points, then they will.
If they have good points, then I agree. We're not seeing that.
Yeah, it's funny that we went totally from talking about movies, because this is, by the way, those of you who watch, this is kind of how we do. We talk. The movies are like the beginning, and then we just start talking about random shit.
Now, what's going on right now? It looks like big terror attacks over the weekend.
Oh, you can't say terror. We won't get monetized, man.
We can't say terror.
No, I can't just put it. I guess can't put it in the label. The
news is officially bullshitty because we've yet to discover who the perpetrators were of the New York bombings. Luckily, nobody was killed in those bombings.
To be fair, I did not hear about it because I've been so freaking busy and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there are two pressure cooker bombs that went off, one in New Jersey, one in New York.
Very similar.
Two in New York
to the Boston bombing one.
Right, very, because it was by where someone was doing a charity race.
That's why someone said that pressure cookers are now considered a deadly weapon.
Right, they need to be outlawed. They need to be banned.
You want to cook pot roast? Terrorist.
No, but there was an official terrorist attack by an ISIS militant at the Mall of America, at the Crossroads Mall of America in Minneapolis, in Minnesota.
Oh wow!
So some dude came and pulled out a knife and tried killing 9 people, but an off-duty cop was there and he shot him.
I think I heard about that.
And then ISIS did take credit for that. And
you think they'd be like?
What's really funny is the news on the article said, we're basically pretty much declaring the Minnesota attack to be terror related. I'm like, what do you mean you're basically declaring it? It is. Okay, the man said to all the 9 people, or at least one of them, he was yelling Allah Akbar, and then ISIS gave a world message and said, we're taking credit for the attack. It's not kinda pretty much a terror attack. It kind of is. I don't see what the problem is.
Well, here's the crazy part is that oh fuck, what was I gonna say?
Now, I guess is the strategy why the news doesn't like say it's a terror attack is because they don't want to give ISIS credit. Is that their strategy? Because you know what? I don't think that matters. They don't care. They're just going to go on. They're just going to say we did it.
Technically, in some ways,
what would it matter if you say it or not?
You know, the sad part is, in many ways, I've pointed out is that in many ways the U.S. is kind of responsible for this. Mainly Bush, because he disbanded the Iraqi army.
No, we know about that.
It's kind of people don't realize that I was talking to my dad, and he said that what if we wanted to do something right back during the what do we call
it would be not invading the country, to be honest with you.
Even if
you don't they don't respect. Okay, if you read about the Middle East, they have a culture of pure dictatorship. If you don't have that there, the culture does not accept.
You know the problem is that we have there's 3 kind of ethnic / race. I don't call it ethnic, but the kind of groups that you see. You have the Kurds, the Shiites, and the Sunnis are the big groups. And the problem is, I heard this. I forget where I heard this, but because of colonialism, they admitted mixing up.
I know.
Yeah,
established dictatorships throughout the region. Yeah.
In order to control this kind of like.
No, yeah, the resources. Here's the thing about ISIS. Okay, yes, Bush destabilized one country. Oh, the thing is, Obama destabilized 4 others.
Syria.
Okay. America, no. We went into Libya. Stupid. Omar Gaddafi, yes, is an evil dude, but he's far less evil than what you're going to see after him. The leader in Egypt is far less evil than what you're going to see after him. And that's why it's unpopular, where they wanted to overthrow Assad in Syria. We're like, no. And then the Russians put their foot down and said, no, you're not removing him. And he's still there actually fighting. And yes, he's a fucking evil dude, but he's far fucking less evil than what you would replace him with. That's the fact.
In some ways, back when they had monarchies in those areas, they actually were a lot more stable. Like, for instance, Iran is actually even when they kicked out the Shah, because they still had a pretty strong central government, things seemed actually, for the most part, are fairly stable. I mean, Iran is still fairly stable.
No, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of meddling going on in this region. I've never supported any of that. But the United States has done it. There's a lot of issues. There's so many issues. There's so many things going on in that region that we probably don't know of. I mean, the amount of resources that come out of that region, the amount of money that comes out of that region and influences American politics is astounding. I mean, the Clinton Foundation's it's already been established they've taken millions of dollars from the Saudi Arabians. Okay, it's a very corrupt network with OPEC, and the Saudi Arabian government. Then you have the Iranian government that doesn't like the Saudi Arabians for years never liked Saddam Hussein, and they're all fighting over oil exports and
no one likes
No, nobody likes the competition. And I mean, it was the same issue at the Gulf War in Kuwait. They were slant drilling into Iraqi territory, and then Saddam said, "Okay, well, I'm invading you." I mean, it was a whole fucked up thing. It's been going on for years. The problem is our politics is clearly being influenced by the amount of money that these people make there.
Well, you see that map. there's a huge amount of oil there, plus like the gas resources there.
Sure, and do they sell a shitload of it to the United States? No, most of it goes to China, but that's a huge customer.
And Europe.
That's a $1 trillion customer is China.
Europe's another big one too.
Sure, Europe's a huge one. I think they have all kinds of. It's an area where there's resources. You know, you're obviously going to have all kinds of corruption going on.
You know, I think
the thing is, the invasion of Iraq didn't do anything. I don't see how it made a few people money, but from a geopolitical point of view down the road, it didn't do anything. I don't get it.
The big problem I saw also was not only did it not make a lot of help out a lot. I mean, there were no WMDs, but when they disbanded the Iraqi army, these people had nothing else to do but war. And then what I was going to say earlier was my dad, because my dad and I are students of history, and he suggested that if they really wanted to get these guys, they wanted to find the bad men in Saddam's army. You put these guys to work doing like police, and you had them do restoration work. You say, okay, you get them running like a Army Corps engineers. You get the engineers, and these guys basically help supply and rebuild.
That's ideal, though.
And
when you just invaded someone's country, though, that's a very rational point of view you took, and an ideal point. But realistically, if someone invaded your home and said, "Well, I'm going to put you to work doing laundry," and they killed your dad,
I didn't say laundry.
If someone came in your home and killed your dad and said, "I'm your new dad now. I'm trying to get you to work," would you just do it?
No, but the advantage is, at least if they're working, they have they have a paycheck. They're feeding their family, and they're more likely to go.
But also, they want their religious interests met, and a lot of that's met with sheer brutality.
Right.
Not just building. See, you're coming from a Western point of view. You want.
I know, but that's how you start out initially. You get them. That would have helped at least prevent the birth of, or it would have slowed down the birth of ISIS. It might have even built certain sympathies with the West to say, well, clearly these people are making sure we get paid and we're getting food, and they're actually helping us out. So you could, in fact, even build contacts within this military, saying, "Hey, we're not so bad. You're a soldier, I'm a soldier," kind of thing. You begin making.
Here's the issue, though. You have Sunnis, you have Sunni Muslims, and you have Shiites,
and you have the Kurds as well.
Control of this country, and that's exactly what's occurred. How are you going to sort that out?
I still think they should make a Sunni stand, Shiite stand, and Kurdistan. Everything would have been a lot better that way.
I'm not sure what's better. I think, number one, here's the first dilemma. A government that can't even take care of its own crap isn't going to go halfway around the world and take care of someone else's crap. I mean, they failed at managing every level of the leadership in this country has fallen short on almost everything that they have been obligated to manage. And sending them over halfway around the world, realistically, is just like you're sending someone who's failed a test 100% of the time to take a whole new test of the same test. They're just going to fail again. This is realistically. Second, the thing is, I mean, you kind of have to be Middle Eastern to know Middle Eastern people.
Right.
I mean, a bunch of white Western dudes. I mean, literally. I mean, okay. Here's the thing about Iraq too. I think leaving the country after destroying it
was a bad idea.
Once you break it, you buy it. You can't ever leave it. You will have to just be there. That was the consequence with voting for the authorization for force in Iraq. There is no exit. Once you're there, you can't get out. Now the issue is, though, here's the other issue. People will say, "Oh, Obama left the country." Now, I don't know to this day whether he could have done more to continue a presence in the country, or that the Shiites who took control of the country, which we gave them, just said, "Hey, we'll get out, or else we're just going to start blowing the place up again." It's a huge fucking mess.
Well, here's the big problem: we created our kind of our worst enemy because we come to these countries, and now you have a number of these migrants leaving, and now they're fucking in countries like Europe. In Europe,
oh, I know the refugee crisis is tremendously fucked.
It's not, and my problem is it's not the refugees. Many of the refugees are very, from most of what I've heard is they try to integrate the best they can to the.
I wouldn't say most of them.
By integrate,
I don't know about most of them.
I don't mean like integrate, like become like from German or French, but they basically try to be productive members of the society that they come to.
I don't know about saying most of them because they're not seeing that in Europe. They're seeing a lot of these people.
Migrants
basically, they're just living off of welfare. A lot of them do not have even job skills to even function in Europe. Though then again, Europe is not; these are not large countries in Europe to provide for that kind of workforce. I mean, the job openings are not vast in Europe.
You should really check out Crowd & Tea and Sargon of Akkad. They cover some of the.
I have.
Yeah, they have a really good stuff. Like they're talking about how the fact that they literally have like the Chancellor of Germany saying that any country who doesn't accept as many migrants and refugees as possible is racist.
That's a big problem. Because a big problem is a lot of these people. Number one, Europe doesn't have any job openings for these people. They don't have resources for these people.
Of course.
A lot of these people start living homeless in the street. They come from a much different culture. Okay, let's just get that straight. I don't have a problem. I'm not like, people come and just go there. Middle Eastern people are a particular issue. They have been run by a theocracy for thousands of years now. They're not just going to come into a Western society.
Well, at least 1,000 years because, or at least nearly 2,000 years because if you look at the older one, they were kingdoms, and it was after, it was when during the mass conversion, the jihads, when you started seeing the conversion from a kingdoms and city-states to a theocracy. I mean, prior to that you had
used to be big science people and people of knowledge and reason, and that all died in the 12th century. I know.
Yeah, the big one was like in Persia. You had the Zoroastrianists. That was like they had their own empire, and they got their asses kicked by during the Crusades. Their kingdoms got kicked out.
Yep, it was. Theocracy is extremely deadly to a region and to a human population, as we've seen in the Middle East. But I mean,
the problem is
taking all those people from that environment and sticking them now in a Western environment has only resulted in what it's resulted in. It's not doing well.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, when you have, Sargon of Akkad made a really good point. When you have way right-wing parties that were once looked at as totally ridiculous, and they're saying, we're just going to shut down, we're going to ban practicing Islam, and the whole country is supporting them, when their poll numbers are at astronomical levels, already he's saying like their poll levels are like they're most likely going to win in the next coming elections. You have a problem.
Yeah,
okay. And it's not a tiny problem.
Yeah.
It's not generally going well. It's not like a few people are having a bad experience, I think, at that point.
I don't know if there's already a few countries who basically straight out ban, like if you look at Japan, they basically say anybody who's Muslim and not already a resident is not allowed to settle as a permanent resident or even a resident alien. And there's no building of mosques, and it becomes
I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
I had no idea about Japan's strict anti-Muslim laws.
Yeah, they don't allow Muslims to have resident aliens or visas. They can come in as tourists, but no.
Are they racist?
Well, Japan's notoriously xenophobic. I mean, if you look at anime, some of the stuff they show.
And they're proud of it, but guess what? They don't. And if you call them a racist, they just laugh you off.
They're like, screw you, and we're gonna watch tentacle porn. I'm not joking. There's a shit ton of tentacle porn.
Or they might cut your head off with a samurai sword.
Nah, they'll just say you Americans.
They'll cut your dick off if you have any dick. If you have any dick there, if you have maybe one ball left that your fat, frumpy, homely wife back in the fucking West LA didn't take away and stick in her black box, they might cut it off.
Black box.
In her black box. She puts it in the box of what is it, Tumblr or something, or
Tumblr box.
Right. I mean, no, but I mean, Sargon of Akkad made some really good points that Europe is essentially almost rejecting all immigrants at this point. So I mean, you have a problem. It's not working out. Something's way off.
Oh, I think I found it. See, Japan says keep out radical Islam through strong restrictions on Muslims. Amidst the really concern about terror acts by ISIS, there's been an uptick in trained viral image puts Japan as an example of a country that keeps out radical Islam by cracking down on all forms of Islam, and so here's implying that this is a good model for. So basically, Japan says permanent residents see as not good to Muslims. Proselytizing of Islam is banned. In university, Arabic and other Islamic languages are taught. This is supposedly what it says. No one could import a Quran published in Arabic language. Muslims must follow Japanese laws and languages. The Japanese government is of the opinion that Muslims are fundamentalists and are unwilling to change. That Muslims are
so why aren't the SJWs bitching at the Japanese for being racists?
Well, they always bitch at Japan. It's funny because if you ever see most of the games she bitches about are Japanese. I'm like, you don't fucking understand Japan. It's despite the fact they in many ways, if you look at their cities, they look a lot like the U.S. They are, because of their isolation during the Edo period, and their resurgence, and because of World War II, they are a totally different breed of culture. I mean, look at half the stuff. I mean,
yeah, I don't agree with saying no one can practice Islam. That's
they didn't say that.
I mean, they can take that position. I'm not going to take that position. I'm not going to call them racist and shit.
They're not saying they can't practice. They just say they can't propagate their religion. So basically,
they don't like Islam.
They kind of tolerate Christians and Jews, but because
there's only 20% of Christianity is radical.
Yeah, for the most part.
At the end of the day, it's a reality that if you look at 90% of Islamists in the Middle East, at least, most of them hold a hardcore belief.
Right.
If you look at Christianity around the world, the wacko Pat Robertson types and shit, those people only make up 15-20%.
I got
bullshit. I mean, I mean, it's not an incredible. I mean, those people are screwy, shit fucks, But the issue with Islam, I can see, is you have 90% is made up of people who really believe a hard line to this whole religion.
Yeah,
that is an issue.
The problem is the fact that they're trying to spread it to other places, and that's even.
Well, I mean, that's part of the real. It's like Christianity. It's you only believe in that God, and nothing outside of it. Everything outside of it's dead. Obviously, like we just went over, a lot of Christians over the years, because Christianity evolved in a Western civilization,
Well, yeah, because
it's mixed with many different things. Islam became isolated to one region, and it had no other outside influences. See,
it had a bit of Christianity and Judaism. I've actually looked it up, and Islam, despite the fact it started in Saudi Arabia,
right?
It had influence
in 600 AD around there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I got to show this. Check this out.
Not exactly 600 AD, but close to it.
Dude, check out that.
God damn
it. Hey, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, would you? Looks the same to me. He does look a chimp, doesn't he? He kind of reminds me of my grandfather, although a little more.
Your grandfather's a fanatic?
No, look-wise, my grandfather looks a little like Pat Robertson.
I'm sorry to hear.
No, he's not. Your grandfather's a Mormon, so there's that.
Well, that's good. Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully he's not, a crazy quack, Hopefully he's not hurting anybody. Yeah, but I mean, back to the Muslim issue. Yeah, I don't know. Is Japan's policy? It wouldn't be my policy. I mean, you can worship whatever you want.
Well, no, they're not. Anybody. Again, they're not banning worship. They're just saying you can't. That tenet where it says you can propagate Islam, you can't do it. Or
what does that mean? What do you mean I can't propagate Islam? How do they define that?
You can't basically do what you can't basically you can't have Islamic missionaries.
I don't know if I do that. I don't know. I would definitely. I mean, people can go out. I mean, I'm from the United States, so I have a different perspective and I have a different bias.
Right.
Obviously, I would say you can do what you want as long as, again, you're not hurting anybody. But I mean, the issue I have is, the importation of thousands of people that definitely believe that either you worship their God or you die, and they're serious about it. You're importing that, then it becomes, then they overwhelm the society, and your little happy do what you want thing gets crushed.
Ironically, is that in like Germany, some of the biggest groups to be against the big migration of Arabs are the Turks, because the Turks have had a long history of hating the Arabs, and despite the fact they are, most Turks are Islamic, they actually are a lot more lax compared to them.
Right, it is. Like they, just hose gay people down with hoses. They don't kill them.
They're like, go back in the door.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Turkey is they're like moderate Muslims, but moderate Muslim means you hose homosexuals. You just don't shoot them and kill them. You just, you spray some water, a high pressure hose, and they get knocked down the street. You just don't shove them off a building.
Maybe one day we'll get them to move to more liberal Muslims. They'll be like, okay.
I hope. But again, that's a Western thing, and
well, the advantage is
it's a big hope.
Well, the advantage is the Turks have had exposure via the fact you had the Byzantine, you had the 1 second. Yes, you're interrupting my. I'll go to bed soon. The big influence I noticed with Turkey was the Greeks through the Byzantine Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and you had the influence because Turkey was such a huge trade route. Even prior to becoming Turkey, it had that very cosmopolitan feel. Even when the Turks took over, they kept many of the Christians and the Greeks and kind of integrated them in their society, and they took on much of that, and they even took some of the established Christian architecture and adapted, like Hagia Sophia has. If you look at it, it has the minarets next to the cathedral.
Yeah, I know they have a very interesting culture, and they've had that for many years. And there is definitely a massive difference you see in Turkey than in the rest of the Middle East.
But areas that are closer to Europe tend to be a little more moderate.
Because there's that Western influence.
Because Egypt is a little bit more, despite the fact that they have a dictator, they're a lot more moderate than, say, Saudi Arabia.
I guess, yeah. Who's moderate? What you're comparing, I don't know. You're talking about Egypt? Well,
yeah.
For a while, they were going to be led by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
They were trying to remove the pyramids.
No, you can't.
They're going to bulldoze that shit down.
Didn't they blow up like pyramids to like
ISIS goes around the Middle East destroying monuments. And they destroy ancient artifacts.
They were threatening to destroy ziggurats and like temples to like Ahura Mazda and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're a sick group of people.
Which is bullshit because we need that. That's historical stuff. That's important. If you don't know about your history, I mean, a lot of
those people don't give a fuck about any of that.
Well, even true when it comes to Christians, I've actually heard that. Like I've heard people say, "Well, we were all Jews before." I'm like, no. If you're European, you're not a Jew before. You were likely a pagan.
Right. We were not. No, yeah, that's a completely absurd statement. I mean, Christianity itself is alien to the continent of Europe. You're absolutely right. Our ancestors were northern. Well, you and our ancestors.
Yeah.
Were most of them were northern European pagans.
You can tell by the blonde hair.
That has been incorporated. Aspects of that little people may know have been incorporated into Christianity we see today. Christianity, the Romans were a pagan culture.
Incorporated a lot of stuff from their conquered people.
The Greeks were a pagan culture. Pagan Europe incorporated itself into Christianity. Many Christians know that.
What was the one?
It's Chris. What do you think Christmas is? What do you think Christmas? You think that's about
Saturnalia, right?
What?
Isn't it Saturnalia?
Christmas?
Yeah.
It's kind of a combo. If you read, there's kind of Yule was a celebration amongst Northern European pagans, and then yes, you also had a celebration amongst the Roman society as well during their pagan.
I think Yule came in later with both the Germanic tribes and then the North.
Right. There's all this integration, which makes Christianity different than being its pure form. If it was in its pure form, uninjected with all this different culture, it would be close probably to Islam. It'd just be, killing gay people and throwing rocks on chicks, and it's gone through a different cleaning process.
Right. The Islam, I heard, unlike Christianity, which was like adapt everything we can. We want to get as many people in. They're like, because it was more about convincing people. It was being charismatic and convincing. Occasionally, at the end of a sword, more likely. But that was later in the Middle Ages.
But you had to. A lot of the European Christians had to conform to the pagan society in Europe. You couldn't do anything unless you conformed. That was the culture.
The thing with Islam is they were basically like, well, these. In fact, actually,
it's isolated. They didn't need to conform to anything but themselves.
Well, also you had in the Middle East, because of the influence of Christianity and Zoroastrianism, you already had a bunch of monotheistic religions already established, with the exception being the Middle East. In Arabia, where you had like polytheism, because Allah in the original, I believe in the original, prior to Islam, was the moon god of
They were already used to a monotheistic religion. You're absolutely right. Well, even pre-Muslim.
Well, except for in Mecca. Mecca was polytheistic. In fact, even the Quran, they say you may strike down the polytheists. They're a lot more forgiving of what they call people of the book, which are Christians and Jews, because
as long as they pay a tax.
Yeah, or they convert.
Well, a lot of Muslims that are going into Europe and they take out all the welfare, they say that's the tax of God. That's how they rationalize it.
Yeah, they just like.
It's like I don't need to work in these. I can get $2,000 a day because it's the God tax.
They should almost just say, fine, you're not gonna get that money. They should like almost cut it back. So
well, they don't because it's Europe. If you don't give that money, you're like you're no racist or something.
You're not a racist. You're being a rationalist.
It's Europe is kind of. I think they feel bad from World War II and World War One.
Germany, you can stop being guilty.
No, everyone just puts that whole thing into. Everyone in that area has really been for many years. It's the guilt, and then people will capitalize off that guilt.
Catholic guilt. It was a Catholic guilt, Jewish nagging, or something like that.
What's interesting is
it's Catholic shame, Jewish guilt. That's what. By the way, check out the.
What's interesting? Oh, you should have a new mic there.
Check it out. This is the new mic. Does it look pretty badass?
Yeah, it looks great.
I won't be using this for when we record on here. I'll be doing it for anything where I'm, doing personal stuff because it's not as sensitive as the mic that I'm using right now. But yeah, but going back to was it Islam?
Yeah.
No, in Europe because Europe, it's ironic. I people don't know the story, a lot of their history. Islam has made incursions into Europe before. Yeah, well, some people don't realize
Charles Martel.
Yeah.
That happened in 700 AD. The Moors from Spain made an advance into France. They were going to take the whole continent.
And Charles Martel kicked their ass out.
Yes, he kicked their ass out. They also, in the ancient times, obviously, the Battle of Thermopylae and the Peloponnesian War. There were multiple attempts, and then in the 13th, 14th century, the Turks made multiple attempts into Eastern.
Well, that's because of they conquered the
Ottoman Empire. Yes, right. They conquered the Byzantines, and where you get Dracula,
the
blood dragon, and how he kicked the shit out of the Turks. So yes, of course. But I mean, yes, Christians had their aggressions into the Middle East. I mean, when people get in this conversation where they're like, the Muslims antagonized the Christian Europe first, and Christian Europe is the sole perpetrators of all this, chaos. It's if you have to look at it on a long time period, though. I will say the First Crusade wasn't. I mean, yes, there was an invasion from the Moors into Eastern Europe, but the Christians the next day blamed it on the Jews and slaughtered something like 50,000.
The Moors invaded Spain, and they basically during their occupation of Spain.
I'm talking more the First Crusade. I'm talking 1000 AD.
I'm looking at the First Crusade because I keep thinking Indiana Jones. The first. Dun 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 dun.
Get the Grail. Get the Grail, dog.
First Crusade. From what I remember. Oh yeah, it happened between
1098.
1096 to 1099, and that
the Pope absolutely capitalized.
God wills
it. An opportunity now to get all these religious holy warriors all worked up and go into the Middle East, and it was all these different religious shitheads are capitalizing at different times in history. It's not just
Yeah, I was looking at
there's some Christian apologetics who are like, the Crusades were all, we're all out of self-defense. I'm like, not quite.
No, there was definitely
there was definitely capitalization.
Yeah, the big thing was the Yeah. The interesting part is during this time, Islam was a little bit more not as crazy when it came to other.
Right.
They were actually a little bit more lenient. Mainly the Abrahamic religion.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
now
I mean, honestly, theocracy, whether it was in Europe at the time, whether it's in the Middle East, it's always made its attempts to take over.
right.
This is what it does. It's what fucking these people do.
All right. So I think I'm done for the night. You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
So everyone, thanks for watching. We'll be doing another one. Do you want to do one next week?
Sounds good.
All right, and we'll see you guys later. I'm Dan.
And I'm Chris. Peace.
Peace.